such an amazing film. I am going to be
I am so happy to give you this golden thumb, and because you made not only the first film in Saudi Arabia by a woman, but the first film in Saudi Arabia, the first full-length feature. It is so amazing. It's so
Roger Ebert and someone who was appreciating film, amazing films from all over the world.
And my film is such a small thing, so it is really incredible honor to receive this one. Thank you so much.
Amazing
Thank you so much for your time.
Michael Barker is going to come on stage with you.
Getting it together.
You are truly inspiring, you know. You know, we see so many movies from that part of the world that are so hard-hitting, and the inspiration of the positivism and the optimism of this film is staggering. Shall we tell them what happened a few months ago? That policy in Saudi Arabia changed, and women can now ride bicycles in Saudi Arabia.
It's a small change, but it's really in the right direction. So it's really good to see people at least appreciate a little bit and moving away from very conservative, radical ideas and seeing the society open up. So,
you know, there were so many pessimists at the beginning of when this film was finished. You know, there was there are no movie theaters in Saudi Arabia, and there was a feeling at the time that it wouldn't be embraced in any way by the country. And Haifaa is a force of nature, you know. She worked with the Saudi Arabians to have the film shown in different assembly halls, and they even which allowed it to be submitted as the official Saudi Arabian entry to the Academy Awards. And I don't know, it's pretty amazing. People didn't believe such a thing was possible.
well, it's a huge motivation. The film has been picked by Sony Picture Classics. I just like, yeah, I got to make it work. So it is really, yeah, it is just to have some people who believe in the film and really want to see it go somewhere. It made me really work hard for it because I really wanted to live up to your expectations, guys. You wanted to submit it, and I think it is a good time now in Saudi that it's opening up. They are willing. It took us so long to get things going, but they are willing to listen. It is not like before. 5 years ago, they will shut everything. If you talk about film, they will never talk about it. Cinema is illegal, closed door. But now there is a little bit of crack. So I think it's very important to capitalize on that and not to say we cannot do things and just give up. It is going to be a daunting process and to allow change to happen, but it is very important to be patient and push for it.
Here you have a country with no film culture, no filmmakers, no theaters. Where did you learn your craft? How, because this is one confident first feature. You'd have to agree with that.
Oh, no, thank you so much. I learned it all on set, and it was very scary. It wasn't confident while we're making it. But and I had like German production, a German crew, and we had Saudi crew, so there was a lot of clash between cultures, and you know how Germans are, very punctual. and in the Middle East, we tend to be relaxed, and punctuality is a relative term, and yeah. So the production was, but at the end, like they came together, like they became really good friends, and both cultures learned from each other. But it was really difficult circumstances working in a hostile environment where people are not having cameras in their neighborhoods wasn't something that they liked, and so it was I was very nervous all through filming, and we were in.
You even shot a lot of the exterior scenes from inside a van to avoid controversy. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the country is segregated, so men and women are not allowed to mix in public and work together. So they had a van for me, and I had a screen and a walkie-talkie, and I screamed basically at everybody from that van, and it was really difficult, like not to be and to feel the space for blocking and to be with the actors, and like if you want to modify something and the camera worker. But it made me really work harder on each scenes. Like the exterior scenes, we would block them ahead of time, and I talked with the actors, and I really try to give them like the heart of the scene, what it really means. So if they forget a line, if they don't know, if they're not sure, they know that is one thing that they have to get. And it is a very difficult process for a filmmaker to boil down the whole scene into one thing that is the most important. So it's a good exercise. I learned from it, and but it was difficult. It was very frustrating.
Is that little girl you? Is this an autobiographical story?
A little. I'm not that hustler. I'm very shy. She's a force of nature. But I based it a lot on one of my nieces. I had a niece like this, who's like always scheming to earn some money somewhere. And she had a great personality, but my brother is very conservative. And when she grew up, and now she's in college, she became conservative, and she gave a lot of potential she had. And I felt it's a huge loss for her and for other girls I went to school with, and I went to public school exactly like this, with girls that are amazing. They could have achieved so much, but because they come from a very limiting small space, they weren't able to, just like they gave up, and it's just sad. So.
But somehow, it must be inside your home, inside your family home, growing up. It must have been very different from the world outside, as far as your learning and your realizing your freedoms.
Oh, absolutely. My parents were very nice, very kind. I come from a small town, and we're a very normal middle-class family, but my family and my parents don't even speak English. But at home, I never felt like there's things I cannot do because I'm a girl. And my brother, and I come from a huge family. I'm one of 12 siblings. I'm number 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So I never felt like there is something I can't do and my brother can. And that little freedom at home allowed me to dream and to just be who I want to be if I wanted. And I was hopping once next to my father, and it was around that there's a lot of people landing on the moon and stuff. There's lots of not land. There's a space shuttle going somewhere, and I told him I want to be an astronaut. And of course, like a girl in Saudi Arabia, what the odds I'll be an astronaut? And he was like, yeah, you can if you work hard. You have just like to concentrate on studying and stuff like that. So he never told me like it is almost impossible. He never told me that. And I appreciated that space. But once I step out and go to school, I understood what it means to be a woman in Saudi Arabia. I experienced everything that little girl went to, and I think it's still girls in Saudi. It goes through this education system where they are not brainwashed, but programmed to see the world and see their place in the world in a certain way. And I hope this film will, like, at least make people reconsider that education system that is like very hard on women. So.
Well, luckily the film is very successful all over the world.
I'm sitting next to you, Michael. My husband's taking pictures, so we post on Twitter.
It did It did much better in France than it did in the U.S., though. But it's just such a remarkable thing. And I do want to say something before I forget, which is this film had the world premiere at the Telluride Film Festival, and not this last year, but the year before. And I communicated with Roger Ebert about this film because I said, "This is unbelievable," and described it to him. And he said, "You better make sure that film comes to Ebertfest." And so I asked you to consider this before even Chaz said yes a year ago, remember? So it's great she's here, and I'm sure Roger's here with us.
Thank you for having me. Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's it's quite an honor to be here. And yeah, I come from a small town. It's really nice to be with you guys and see people appreciate the film and laugh at the humor. It was really hard to write the humor. And I'm so glad I heard you laughing. It was really hard. So thanks.
When I first met you, you were hiding in a corner. No one could find the filmmaker. You were so shy. Now you're much more eloquent. This is great. We should open for questions. Oh, I know. I wanted to ask one thing. The editing process, watching it just now, it's just amazing, the editing of this film. I mean, how do you just all of a sudden edit a movie? You'd made documentaries before, but what is your editing process? Did you edit in Saudi Arabia or Germany, or where did you edit?
No, the editing process, the editor couldn't come with us on location, so we sent rushes to him every week, every 3 days.
Where, in Germany?
In Germany, yeah. And every time we sent him the rushes, he told me, the scenes don't work. And it's like, what? No matter how much we do, still the scenes don't work. And we need to take more scenes and more like inserts and stuff. But editing is really an amazing process. And I worked with an amazing, really, really good editor. And he's like a mad scientist. He pulls your hair and stuff. But it is really like it is getting the things right. And just you see a lot of the scenes, we didn't shoot them that way, like they weren't sometimes in the script that way, so we have to rebuild them and redo them because of performance and rhythm and all that. And yeah, it was really my editing process is just like I was scared again and nervous because it was my first film. But for me to get the feelings right and get the rhythm of the film moving in the right direction and not have this awkward moment unless you want them to be awkward. And always trust that vision. You have to, that is, for me, is like always like to feel the film, and not to have other things dictate as much as like to see if the pieces connect right. It is like a song. You have to hear it. My pitch is really bad, but with film, it's really important to, yeah, so.
What I couldn't get over was visually how those feelings, it's such a human movie, are expressed by the timing of the shots of shoes, of little objects. And they speak volumes about the inner state of the character. And that's just, it's brilliant editing. It really is. Question.
The first question comes from the floor, slightly to your right.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm one of the Far Flung correspondents, and I can't tell you how happy I was to see this film because when Roger first contacted me, I was in Saudi Arabia, under many circumstances too. And at that time, I knew that women couldn't ride a bike, and I'm just so happy to see the success of this film. And briefly, I have family there, and I have a niece who's in college there. And I used to share movies that I brought with me, and I showed her Persepolis. And I think, this movie is very much like that, about a young girl growing up in the Middle East and, showing her, finding her way. And I just like to ask if you could describe the process of getting the film done, because I'm sure a lot of us would like to know how do you start if you wanted to make a film in Saudi? I mean, if you could talk a little bit about that.
I think not only in Saudi, you have to write a script, and then like I try to apply my script to a lot of places, and one of the places that the film was accepted is Sundance, their labs, the writers' lab in the Middle East, and they've been amazing, like giving me advice on whom to contact, and then I try to contact producers. And sometimes first-time filmmakers want to do everything themselves. They want to be the producers, they want to be everything. And I feel it's very important to be patient until you find to collaborate with people who know what they are doing. And it might take long. It took me 5 years to put everything together and to find, and I have to give it for my producers who came from Berlin all the way to Riyadh, which is totally different. And it was a risk for them, just to give me a real chance to make an authentic film about my culture. And and it is not hard to find a producer who's committed that way and who is willing to give that shelter for the filmmaker to be engaged in the artistic, to worry only about your actors and what is happening on set, and they take care of everything, any other distraction. So just be patient, I would say, and bring people along with the journey. Try to supply, and there will be a lot of rejections. So you have to have thick skins and don't take anything personal. That is the nature of the industry.
Slightly to your left in the aisle, please.
Hi, thank you so much for that amazing film. I don't know if you're supposed to say this, but that was my favorite up to this point.
Thank you.
I was so moved by it. I was both cheering and crying at the end. I spent my teenage years in Kuwait in the late 70s, early 80s, and I remember not that it was against the law, but not being allowed to go to the corner store by myself, probably because of remarks like that construction worker calling out to little Wadjda, about come up here, I want to, just that kind of thing. And I wondered how common it would be for a girl to do that. She was the only girl we saw in the film doing that, going off to the store by herself and talking with that toy store owner. And I wondered if that was something other girls would do, or is that just characteristic of this person and her spunky nature? And also what it was like to then film her riding that bike down the street. Was there risk in doing that, or is that something up to a certain age girls can do, and so the filming wasn't as challenging?
It depends a lot on the neighborhood, about girls moving around. It's more small towns, smaller neighborhoods, and are more intimate, so you see a lot of women walking. And where you go, when you go to more urban places, more city-like places, less and less women go outside for sure. And this film takes place in a little place in the outskirts of Riyadh, where women still can. It's a little bit more intimate, so they can go outside. But for sure, Wadjda is a spy. Like she won't take no for an answer, and she knows that this is the last time. And it is her last days of freedom before she becomes a woman, and all the constraints that applies to a woman will apply to her. So she wants to enjoy that time. And filming her, and we filmed the last scene, like when she's bicycling, relatively towards the end. And she was touching the bicycle, seeing the bicycle, looking at the bicycle, and she always wanted to ride the bicycle. So it was hard to constrain her towards the end of on the bicycle, but it was difficult. That scene. She's still young, so she can do a lot of things that older women cannot do. But it was hard for us to shoot that scene. We were in a very conservative neighborhood, and they started calling the religious police, and because we were filming. And the last shot from here to here, I just got her from there because they told us we have to leave. We have to leave. People in the neighborhood are getting angry and stuff like that. So it wasn't easy, but it was relatively easier. If I had a woman that would on a bicycle, that would have been impossible to shoot. So, yeah. Physically, also, the DOP was on top of the car, mounted on the top of the car. I think they worried about safety, but I was really worried he will slip or something.
From the balcony to your left.
I really love the movie. I was wondering how big of an influence was punk rock on this film, because she listens to punk rock, and also she dresses in a very punk rock way, and the whole themes of punk rock are very prevalent in this film.
Oh yeah, I think I wanted a person who was like a rebel, a person, but without being really over the top. It is just like the reference, of course, the Chuck Taylors and All Stars represent that, and comes with that history. And she listens to music that not everybody listens to, and she tries to get them from an antenna. And she is a person who wants to be part of a bigger world. She doesn't want to be contained in her small, whatever place her mother and the school wants her to be in. And yeah, thank you for that remark. I'm glad that you got it.
The next question is from here, from the aisle. So to your right.
Fantastic film. Thank you for bringing it. I have a two-part question. Your young actors were amazing, and I wanted to know more about where you found them, how they were trained, how old they were, especially the girl who played Wadjda and also the boy, and how their families reacted to the making of this film, which must have seemed so subversive, perhaps.
Finding the girl was really difficult. The boys, I always get some pictures from men in Saudi who want to act, giving me pictures like that, posing. Women, never. So it was hard for us to find the girl. And we were, I told you, my producers are German. And before 1 week of principal shooting, we didn't have the main girl. And you know how they were panicked. And all of a sudden, Wa'ad came in. And she came in, she had the same spirit in my niece. And she didn't care. She didn't even comb her hair coming to the audition. And I really liked that. I really liked that she's not, she had this. And then I wanted someone to sing. And I asked her to sing. And then she started singing for Justin Bieber. Amazing, beautiful. So I thought she understood English. So I tried to introduce her to Roman. And she did not understand a word, only Bieber. And I was like, so that is my girl. It's like exactly the girl I was looking for. And she was just natural. It took her only a week to get to learn where to stand, her mark is, and all that. And Abdullah was an amazing, he spoke English, and he translated for everyone. Like a lot of the actors don't speak English. So he was like also working between the crew. And they were so excited because they felt so cool and part of something special. They were in the only film sets in Saudi. So, so it was really amazing working with young kids. A lot of people warned me before, but they had so much enthusiasm and a lot of energy. And it was really refreshing. Like, it's fun working with them. I really enjoyed the process.
Was the mother a professional actress?
Yeah, the mother is like the most important actor in Saudi Arabia.
So she acts on the stage mostly?
And TV. We have a lot of TV drama, which is, Wa'ad was maybe 10 and a half, around to be 11. And he maybe was at the same age, maybe 9. He's a little smaller. How? Their family, the boys' family were okay with it. The mother of the girl was a little bit hesitant. She's a single mother again, and it was hard. I don't know. She didn't want to first to distract the girl from school, and then a film about women and all that. And I think Wa'ad behind the scenes tried to convince her mother to come on board.
I have a question for you in the aisle closer to the back of the house.
Love the movie, and I too am very curious about the young girl that acted in as Wadjda. So, is there some place where these kids come and audition? How did you find them? I mean, they're obviously her mother was hesitant.
Yeah, all word of mouth. We couldn't put a casting call in a newspaper because we wanted to maintain a low profile. We didn't want to, the public opinion in Saudis sometimes can get very hostile toward art and film and cinema. So we didn't want to go there. We wanted to keep it low profile. We had permission to shoot and everything, but still, people themselves are very conservative. So it was like fishing. We were in a hotel in the middle of Riyadh, very small hotel because we didn't want to spend money. So it's not like the most luxurious hotel, waiting in the lobby for small production companies to tell someone else, and word of mouth, who knew who, and all that. And then she did some folkloric dancing, and she did like charity work with kids, and they do and holidays. And she was one of those kids they recruited, and she came in, and yeah, we were happy to see her. It was really, Roman was really relieved.
Is it true that when she turned 16, she's not allowed to act anymore?
Well, her family told her, yeah, she has to do something more respectable. So she has to be a doctor. But I think she likes it. She likes acting, and she likes being in the spotlight. And now she goes to the mall every day because people recognize her in the mall. So she goes around and around. So I think she will be there.
From the balcony in the center.
I have two questions. The first is a comment. This was a question. Your English is outstanding. Where did you learn it? Is the first question. The second question is, what has been the reaction of the Saudi population to this movie?
I learned English at the American University in Cairo, and I went to public school, and I thought I learned English in high school, and it was very. I was on probation for the first 2 semesters. I did not understand a word, so thank you so much for the compliment. And then I did my master in Sydney, Australia. So, and how Saudis reacted to the film. Some people love it, and a lot of people, because they are conservative, they reject the fact there is a woman who are making films, and it is hard for them just to accept change, I think. But I try not to be so offensive. I try to just try to bridge gaps and start dialogue. And I think it's very important in a place like Saudi not to alienate the others, especially the conservatives. It is hard to accept a change for anyone, let alone a person who's been programmed to believe in a certain thing for so long. And it's very important to give them time to. It is such an overwhelming with internet and people going and revolutions and all what is happening. So yeah, and it is polarizing, I would say, but a lot of women enjoy the story, and they identify a lot with Reem, the mother's character, because a lot of women in Saudi are really hardworking. They do everything, and they try to please their husbands. They cook, they do everything, and look beautiful. And at the end, they're taken for granted. And it's a story that is very common, and a lot of girls identify with that.
You know, in America, what has been really gratifying have been the supporters of the film. When we had the premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York, Gloria Steinem came and basically made the comment that this was a profound feminist work of art. And following that, Tina Brown rose to the occasion, Annette Bening, so many women who see this film as a major feminist statement. And that's you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Your next question comes from the floor to your right, far aisle to your right.
First, a comment. I was traveling recently in Nicaragua, and I spoke with a young man who had just come back from visiting Palestine. He lived in Ramallah. And I said, oh, I'm going to Ebert, and his girlfriend is from France, and she has been to Cannes. And I said to him, oh, I'm so excited, I'm going home to Ebertfest, which they hadn't heard of. And I said, oh, and I'm going to see this amazing movie, and it was made by the first woman director in Saudi Arabia. And he said, Wadjda. So you're known both in Ramallah and obviously Nicaragua. Congratulations.
That's amazing. Thanks.
Yeah, it was neat. So my question is, the honesty when Wadjda won the competition, the honesty of her saying, I'm going to buy a bike. So now, putting honesty out there for you, what's your next topic that you're going to attack?
I don't know. I'm still writing. I write, and I want to write something that is honest and real and entertaining, and it takes time to just find the right thing, the right mix. And I send synopsis to my producers every week, and we discuss it back and forth, and hopefully we'll find something that is like that. And I think coming from a place like Saudi, it's very important to tell human stories, and human stories that make us better. I like move us forward back home. I don't want to make films that are about victims or about horrific incidents as much as people who are moving forward with life. We'll see.
Next question is from the balcony, slightly to your left.
Hey, a little nervous here, but got a question for you. I saw this movie during the summer, and it was easily one of my top 5 favorite movies of the year. And I see multiple movies a week, so it was very good. I put it on to my parents afterwards, multiple people, and I started reading up on a lot of things after I watched it. And you kind of answered it a second ago, but my question is kind of a continuation of the reaction in Saudi Arabia amongst people. And I read that it wasn't shown in several locations. And like you said, there was kind of a mixed reaction. And my question for you is, considering that it may not have been shown, which I'm not even sure if that's 100% accurate, I'd like to hear your answer to that question. But how do you feel that since it got a mixed reaction, wasn't shown, that it was still the film that was chosen to be, I don't know if it's given or selected for Oscar consideration in Saudi Arabia? How do you feel that they picked that film out of multiple films that they could have chosen from, given the divisive reaction to it? And continuing on that, I think you got screwed when it came to the Oscars. So
it's okay.
We agree.
No. Well, we showed in Saudi. We showed about for 10 days in the cultural places, the embassies. The American embassy is amazing. They opened their house. They made like a small theater for people to come, in the German embassy, and we showed in cultural. Also cultural places in Saudi, but it was only limited for 10 days to be eligible for the Oscar. And they didn't choose among a lot of films because it's the only film in Saudi. But to convince them to submit a film, it means that the country is opening up and warming up towards the arts and the official opinion. And it was a mixture. The film did well. We premiered in so many places, and we received a lot of awards. So it was promising. And for them, they felt it is something they should invest in. And I think we have, at this time, Saudi Arabia is moving away, reluctantly maybe, or slowly, from a lot of like the conservative ideologies and embracing art on a very cautious level. And I tried in this film as much as possible not to offend and try to maintain my voice as a female who wants more rights for women, empower women and all that. But always in the back of my mind, I know where I'm coming from and how people could receive things. So I try to put things under and hope people will see them and still be accepted back home. And it was a balance, and walking that balance is really hard. But I learned from Iranian filmmakers, they always do it all the time, and here we are.
Will the Saudi Arabian population see the film on DVD in their homes and online?
Yeah, they will see. We opened and played in the Gulf states like Bahrain, Kuwait, and UAE. So a lot of Saudis saw it in those places. And we have a DVD release planned and a TV release. So it is only movie theaters are not allowed, but but not film per se.
The next question is in the aisle to your left, a little bit more this way. There.
Hi, I love the movie. I had a question. That the bike was a girl's cut, and if girls don't ride bikes, how likely would it be that 1 in 5 bikes would be a girl's bike? And the other thing was, I was wondering if you could report on the recent protest of women driving cars.
Girls can ride bicycles in the backyard of their homes. They cannot go outside. So that is one thing. And yeah, we wanted a bicycle for girls, and it took a while to find this bicycle. And Electra were very kind and generous. They gave us the bicycle, and we could not even credit them later on because there was German money in the film, and so public money, so we couldn't have any brands. But they're amazing, and they gave me the same bicycle. So Electra. And I felt it's the cool bicycle. It's nostalgic and it's green and has this intimacy about it. So that is a lot of factors came in. But they sell girls' bicycles in Saudi. Maybe not as this big. This was like a bigger one. They sell pink, small ones more. But yeah. And Saudi campaign for drivers. Those women are very brave, and I really applaud them for all their efforts and trying to campaign and bring things. And but sometimes in the Middle East, campaigns are only exist in Facebook and Twitter, and they don't touch reality. Because it is hard to, especially in a place like Saudi, it is a country segregated. It's the country geographically is also spread out. It is not hard to bring people, and there are a lot of towns where people don't, small towns that they don't have access to internet, and changing that, which is the bulk of Saudis, is very difficult and very hard, and takes a lot of education. It takes more than only campaigning outside. You have to go deeper in the society, and you have to do real work, and that will take time. And campaigns like this, more and more, will increase awareness, and I think women will drive in Saudi very soon. And yeah, it's just like we need to change how people think. People resist it because they think it's wrong, and you just need to get in someone's mind and change how they think, and it's not easy. It takes time.
The next question comes from all the way in the back, slightly to your right on the aisle, all the way in the back.
A technical point, but one that goes deeply to the understanding of your film. Thank you for readable subtitles. They were a model, and I hope other filmmakers should look at this to see what they should do. We could read them all. It was wonderful. How many languages have you done subtitled?
Oh, a lot, I think. We did Japan and everything, and Japan, South Korea, we just sold, and of course Europe, Sweden and France and everything. But I have to say, Sony Picture Classics are the best. They did an amazing job, not only with the subtitles.
Listen, we are proud of what you just said, because we work on those subtitles every year on these films, and no one notices how we make those subtitles bigger. So we appreciate that.
And the trailer, everything. Everything is first class. It's amazing. Dealing with them was a great experience, and I'm very honored just to be working with them. They embrace the film with a lot of heart, and they're the best distributors ever.
Well, you know, Haifaa, around the world, the biggest compliment we can give to Haifaa, which is a fact, is you have made a great movie that will stand the test of time. It is not just in this moment.
Thanks. Thank you.
Next question's from the balcony in the center.
Hi, congratulations on an incredible film. I just wanted to understand some of the cultural things as an American viewer. If you could speak to Wadjda's mother and her circumstance. It looked like she was kind of upper middle class, and is it unmarried, and is it scandalous, and is she kept by the man? And then also, could you explain the hospital scene and that friendship with that woman?
I think she's from middle class, and she's married. It's not, he works somewhere else, like he has to commute, and that is why they spend a lot of time. But she didn't bear him a son, and that is what he wants, and he wants because of pressure of society. And the Middle East, if you don't have a boy, it's not right. So you need to fix it. For a man, he needs to fix it. He needs to have that boy because it's continuation of the name and all that. And it's a tribal society, so names mean a lot. And her friend, I think, and also it's segregated society, so men and women usually don't mix, don't work together. And only in the medical field, there is a little bit of mixing. And women who work there, they challenge the mentality. So they automatically are considered not very good women because they are working in a mixed place. They see men, so there is a lot of questions, and for a woman to take that chance, especially if they are typically middle class, it's very hard. And yeah, so her friend is just like, I'm not going to go with that commute. I'm just going to take that. I don't care. I'm just going to take that job. And so, yeah.
Do you know what was so interesting to me is the difference between the mother's character and the teacher's character, because maybe you can comment about her character.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about also viewing religion. Like the mother is very religious. She prays and all that, but she's kind. And, you know, like how we knew religion before. It is like, it is something that makes us, it's a little mixed with superstition and all that, but it is kind somehow. But the teacher is when religion became very militant. It is this and this and this and this, and that is what we teach us in school. And it's full of like us against the rest of the world. And it's like what, and charging people with that kind of like energy is not right. It's not, and so yeah, I think that is the difference mainly.
The teacher seemed to have a lot of inner conflicts.
Oh yeah, she does. She does. I don't think, because for me it is not like making a villain, like that is a bad person completely. And I think she's a product of that society. Maybe she was in love one day. Maybe she had a fling, and then the society just outcast her. And for her to prove that she can survive, she has to be this really mean person. And it is, I think it is, and even the father for me, and I wasn't trying to make characters that are completely bad because they're men and because he wants a second wife. It is the pressure of this place that makes us who we are, like sometimes force us to take decisions that are not personal and not very individual, because we want to satisfy something bigger, the collective, and we cannot survive as individuals. We are very tribal, and very like the tribe takes care of you when you get married, if you are sick. If anything, they are the one who to save you, because civil society organizations are not very strong. So yeah.
I have a question all the way in the back again, slightly to your right.
I just want to echo the comments on the many great things that have been said about this film. I truly, truly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the fact that you introduced us to this culture that a lot of us, many of us, are not aware of. And actually, my question actually centers around, a cultural question. Some of it has been asked earlier, but I'm wondering about in the film, you go to great lengths to show that women cover themselves up when they go outside. But in the film, and I know you also talked about television as well, we see inside the home where women are uncovered. I'm wondering, how are women viewed, either in TV or even in this film? Being uncovered, basically. How was that viewed in society? That here again, they go to great lengths to cover themselves up when outside, but is it a difference because they're on the television or on the screen? The fact that we do see them uncovered.
Not very good. They don't like them. No, it's like, but if you are in the entertainment business in Saudi, that's it. It's over. and I mean, like, not in a way like you are not, yeah, and your place in society, you are not a good girl. So that's like not clean, not virtuous, whatever. But that is, I mean, like that is when you go and challenge the society and appear in public without head cover. But it's changing. A lot of younger girls in Saudi now, they are educated in the West and they don't want to go back and wear all that. So there is distinction when they travel abroad and they don't cover that much. And also it's a class, so upper class people have the privilege to, or have this kind of luxury of not abiding by society rules because they have money and they can live in Switzerland whenever they want. But in Saudi, really, there is a huge distinction between what's private and what is public. So women in public, they cover and they wear this, they act in a certain way. And men, the same way, they have to put the thing and they are calculated. But when we go inside homes, they flirt, there's more fluidity, they are more relaxed in general, like when it comes to this distinction. But once you challenge publicly the society and go uncovered and you don't cover your hair for a woman, it is not, people don't like it, they don't accept it, and you are stigmatized as a result, a person, woman.
We have time for one more question from the balcony in the center.
Thanks so much for your film. American cinema has a really bad record in portraying Arab men, and there's very little portrayal of Arab women. From Abdullah to the shopkeeper to even the father, usually we get some sort of villain so that some George Bush can go in and save the women from these horrible men. So while it's celebrated as a feminist film, it really does a lot for American audiences with so many positive portrayals of men. I wondered if some of those other 11 siblings, or who are the men in your life that encouraged you, that may have inspired some of those characters. And I have a bicycle outside. I think it would be, if you can maybe ride it, would be like,
all right.
would be a great honor. And Tilda Swinton led a dance, but I think
I'm not gonna do a chicken dance. Too shy for
maybe,
that.
Maybe you'd ride by bike, but we'll see.
I'll try. But I didn't ride bicycles for since I was Wadjda's age, and I made a film about bicycles. And I went to London, and the BBC wanted to have me on a bicycle, and I was very reluctant. So I went and talked to the producer privately and everything, and he said, okay. And then all of a sudden, when shooting and everything, they brought in the bicycle, and I had to be all of a sudden, all my talk, the private talk with the producer didn't matter. So I was riding on TV, but.
Well, I can answer part of that question. Yeah. Haifaa's husband is here with her 2 children, and Brad, and he is as in awe of her as the rest of us.
Yes. Amazing guy. And he put a lot of sense for me when I was writing men's characters. Yeah, the script didn't start this way. It started different. It was very bleak. The mother dies, and it was like every filmmaker with a cause, I want to make this film that is about women, and women are victims, and took really a lot of realization and a lot of getting close to the characters. And I have to thank my husband a lot, and for all what he's done and to make sense to me, to be kinder, and put a lot of heart into the film. He's an amazing guy.
And on that, we will end. Haifaa Al-Mansour.
Thank you.